Hey campers, George here. Yep, another item on those 10 C's list. Number 4, containers. I got questions. So today I was looking at containers on the list, and I did notice that on the list, Dave Canterbury says containers, and then in parentheses, he says water vessel, which to me is interesting. He doesn't stipulate that it's just containers in general, like something that you would carry stuff in, anything in. He's actually being specific here on the fact that it needs to be a water carrier. To me, I've always thought about this when I think of the word containers. Container to me is something that contains something, anything. Doesn't have to be water, could be anything. Your backpack's a container. Your knife sheath contains your knife. There is just so many container things, and I've always wondered why he was so specific on containers and then water vessels. The 10 C's covers 10 things that you need to survive in a 72-hour scenario, which is fine, and I understand that, and that's what it's about. But you got to carry everything. It's not like you're going to have them in your pockets. Some of that stuff's a little big to go in my pockets. I don't know about you. So I've always wondered why it wasn't 11 C's. You got to carry everything. I've always wondered about that, but I digress. Back to containers, water vessels. There are hundreds. Just like everything on that list, the options are wide variety. If you have a look here, I just have some of mine sitting on the desk here. And here I've got stainless steel containers. These guys are from Kleen Kanteen. They are single wall vessels, and I'll get to that. And the nice thing about it is they fit inside a cup. Military style canteen, which sits in a cup. And I have just your regular plastic style water container. I know there's the Nalgenes and all that sort of stuff, similar items. And then I have this, and I forgot about this thing. I was wondering how well this will hold a liquid. And I got to tell you, it's been sitting on my desk for 2 weeks, and it hasn't leaked. Which makes me wonder if we shouldn't be carrying a bunch of these to carry water in an emergency. Something to consider. But we'll put that aside. Here are your main ones. And when considering something that's going to carry water for you, I had mentioned that these guys are single wall. And there's good reason for that. In a double-walled water bottle like this, if it's a double wall, you can't put it in a fire. It don't work. It'll burst because of the double wall. The gases between the outer and inner wall are going to expand when you heat it. It's going to explode. So remember that. Double wall, don't be putting it in your fire. The only thing that I have concerns about this is the plastic lid. But they work well, and if I'm going to boil water in a fire, I'm not putting a lid on it. I want it open. One of my favorite water bottles. Putting it in a cup like this, they call a nesting system. And basically the water bottle is nesting in a cup. That's a great thing to have, because now you have a water container and something to drink out of, or even in a pinch, cook out of. And that's all part of your vessel system, and it doesn't add a lot of extra room to what you're carrying. It just simply slides over this. The volume really doesn't change that much. And of course there's different size bottles. You got this, you got the Nalgenes, you got the military style container, which sits in the military cup. And, it's a nesting system, and typically a good one will have a lid for it and all that good stuff. And it's in its own container. Carry bag. So, and my ones, I love these. I live by these. And just simply because I add things into it in the side pockets. It's got room in here to fit other things. I have a bush box in here, and I can put my coffee mixers in here and that. So that's why I really like the military style. When I go camping, typically that's what I take. On a walkabout, hike trip, this is what I take. So just remember, no double-walled vessels. They're no use to you. If you run out of water and you come across a river or a pond or something like that, you're going to have to do something with the water. And the best thing you can do with any water to purify it would be to boil it. And in a double-walled vessel, you just can't do that. So keep that in mind. Now, vessels come in different ways, different sizes, and made from different things. Typically stainless steel, titanium, plastic, like the Nalgene, the special plastic stuff, I don't know what it's called, all work. The problem is they have pros and cons. One of the things that you have to consider when you are going to be taking a vessel with you is the season, whether it's summer, winter. In Minnesota, for me, winter means really cold temperatures. Now, that means that the water in here is going to get really cold. It may even freeze. The good thing is it's a steel container. And the bad thing is it's a plastic lid. Now, if you overfill one of these things and they freeze, they're going to burst the lid. So keep that in mind. Never fill it to the top. Always leave a little bit of a gap. I know the water flushes around in there and it's kind of noisy. I hate that as well. But I'd rather have a complete container than a broken one when I wake up in the morning and the top is burst. Not a good thing. And that goes for plastic. The bad thing about plastic is if this freezes, typically it'll crack. And getting the water out is an issue. You can't boil this. You can't heat it up. Well, you could put it close to the fire, which would help, but it's going to take forever to melt the ice in there. Plastic lid, good chance of it bursting. Now, if you live in a hot climate and you're in the desert, we're looking at the opposite scenario here. You want water that is cool. It's not a necessity. You can drink warm water, a little hot. It's not easy to do. You're going to have to take little sips because if you drink warm water, you're probably going to gag. You've got to be careful of that. So, you want to put it inside your pack, out of direct sunlight when you're carrying it. That'll keep the temperature down. Now, with a plastic bottle, it's no big deal. It will get warm, but it's not get as warm as something like this, because this is really going to get warm. Although this is shiny and it reflects a lot of heat, it's still going to get pretty warm in there. So keeping it in your pack when you're walking about is going to keep it a little bit cooler. Obviously, keep it in the shade, out of direct sunlight. Filling a container. One thing I do like about the Kleen Kanteen is the wide mouth. Now, you can get just about any canteen that's made out there will have a wide mouth version in it. Most of them will. Any good ones will have a wide mouth. And it makes it easier to fill. A lot easier. This particular military canteen that I have, you can see the difference in the size. A little bit harder to fill than this is. Now I do have a canteen that has a wide mouth. Let me get that for you. And here it is here. And as you can see, the lid is a lot bigger compared to this guy. See that? So that allows easy access to get water in there when you out there getting your water from the river or wherever. So there are canteens available. This is not a true military canteen. It's based on the military system, except they made a wide mouth on it. Remember, when you're looking at a water carrier, how easy is it to get water in and out of it? And there you can see the differences. When you have chosen your vessel, you have to make sure it works for you. You're going to boil water in it. Does that work? Great. So you find you've run out of water and you know, it's cold out there, you need to warm up, and you've got coffee but no water, there is water available. You have got to do something with that water before you put it in your body. So you're going to have to boil it. That's the number one thing you should do with any water that you pull from a natural resource. You're going to have to boil it. The other thing you're going to have to do is, you know, when you put it in the water and the river is flowing, not just water's going in there, all sorts of other nasties are going to get in there, big particles of debris. So you're going to have to get rid of that. You don't want to be chewing down on a dead insect or bits of wood or something like that. So fortunately, in the 10 C's list, yes, there's an item on there that you can use in conjunction with your container, and that's the bandana. So when choosing a bandana, and we'll get into that, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you can use it to filter the big particles out before you boil the water. Personally, I think you should have more than just a bandana. I have a filtration system. I use the Be Free, I think it's called, and that's how I collect my water and filter it into there and put it into my container and boil it. But obviously, before I do that, I like to put it through a bandana as well. So I have 3 stages. I collect it in a water filter and put it through a bandana as well. So I will get a container that's big enough, easy to get the water out, filter it through a bandana into my filter, and then from the filter into my actual carrier, where I can boil it or whatever I want to do with it, or just carry it and drink it. So there you go, campers. A look at some water carriers. All different kinds out there, and they all work pretty well, and different sizes. Obviously, something else you need to consider is how big it is and how much water can it carry, and how long will that water last you. Are you going into an area that has water available in the natural resources? Don't just grab any one. Think about it, and will it work for you? I know it's personal. You need to decide what works for you. I can't tell you what works for you. The military canteen kit for me is by far the best option out there. It has everything. You can boil water in it. It's safe to use. It's strong. It's sturdy. It comes in its own carrier. You can put it on your belt. You don't have to put it into your backpack. It's a natural nesting system. It's designed that way. And they give you some extras with it as well, like the lid. And obviously the carrier has some extra storage space for you for whatever you need, juice bags or something like that, that you can just add flavor to your water if you're not too keen on drinking straight out of the river, boiling it and prepping it and just drinking that water. You want to add some flavor. So you can use it for many different things. Also, the container is fairly loose enough where you can put things in. In my military kit, I don't just have the water carrier. I have coffee, tea, sugar. I have a spork in there. I have a folded up bush box that fits in there, and obviously the lid and the cup in the whole nesting system. I even have in some of mine, I have a fire starter, a ferrous rod sitting in there, because I have a belt knife. I can use that to start a fire. That's just my views. What are yours? What are your favorite carriers? Maybe put something in the comments below about what you like to use as a water carrier. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. And I'm pretty sure I'll be coming back with, I don't know, number something on the 10 C's list. Just say. Thanks for watching.